Welcome everyone to Sports Forensics and Picks. I'm Matthew R. Corbett, and this is my co-host, John Patterson. John, thank you for being here today.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. It's the greatest thing in the world. I'm so happy we're able to do this, Matt.
I'm really excited about it. John's been just an insider in the sports world for so long, and I'm really excited to do this channel with you and to gain some insight and learn from you in regards to everything about sports picks and betting. So thank you for doing this. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So
football, preseason football this week, huh?
I'm so excited, dude. Seriously, I can hardly even contain myself, even though it's preseason, which sucks. Nobody cares about it. But I do, and the bettors do. There's nothing else to do these times because we're all so tired of baseball at this point. Baseball, it's still kind of boring, and not until the playoffs is that going to get fun. But we got football.
Football's back officially, so yeah. There is a full slate of games. Every team in the NFL is playing this week, and they kick off Thursday night. So first game. What's the first game, John?
Oh, geez. Well, the first game is actually going to involve Chicago. And it's kind of weird because, no, I'm sorry. They're not till later. Let's see. On Thursday, we kick off with Carolina at New England. And this one's kind of interesting. You know, Carolina plus 6.5 at New England. That's kind of a big line for a preseason game, you know, let alone being week one. What do you think? What's your take on that?
It's a lot of points for a preseason game with two teams that frankly aren't very good, right? So Carolina -6, or what is it, -6.5 for Carolina in New England?
That's right.
So which way are you leaning on that one?
I think that New England is clearly the pick, and here's why. I mean, -6.5. That's a lot. I'll call that a player's spread because, you know, realistically we're looking at about 2 to 2.5 points home field advantage in the preseason, about 3.5 to 4 in the regular season. But they have to win by a touchdown or more in order to cover. That's kind of a big number. And so I would imagine, you know, knowing that Vegas, these guys know what they're talking about putting these spreads together. So I just see way too many people. Joe Better, and that's another term I like to use a lot, Matt. Joe Better is the average person who's going to bet on a sports game. And Joe Better knows his stuff. He really does. He knows who the better team is. He just doesn't always know who the better pick is because people tend to bet their hearts and not their smarts. And I just think that people taking those 6.5 points, you know, they might be taking a lump on the head. But not only are you laying 6.5, but on many of the online sites, you have to pay -115 for that 6.5 that you're laying. So -6.5 at -115, I think it's strong to go ahead and just, you know, lay those points and take New England.
And so for the viewers watching the -115, if you do take, you know, no matter who you take here, but the -115 means you essentially have to spend $115 on the bet in order to win 100. Is that how that works?
Absolutely right, Matt. Thank you for bringing that up because it's so natural just to throw these terms around, -320 or +150. Yes. So for the people watching this, it may be new to sports betting. When we say -115, and when we use 100 as kind of the benchmark, I'm certainly not going to be putting, let's say, for example, -310 as the money line if you want to take just to win outright New England. I mean, that's really safe. But -310 means you need to bet $310 to win 100 of theirs. That's a little steep, and that's certainly not worth my money for a preseason game. I wouldn't do that. But then again, so it breaks down, say we're betting $31, that would win you 10. If you bet $15.50, you would be playing for $7.50. And so, and when you have a plus, for example, say plus 255, That's a huge number at minus or at plus 6.5. So to take Carolina to win outright, that's called the money line. They're at plus 255 that I'm seeing on the most current sites. And that's just way too high of a number for me to ever take. I would not take a 6.5 point dog anywhere higher than say plus 230 ever, because it's just too much. And it just seems like a carrot that they're dangling in front of you. Minus 310, that's just not worth my time to bet. But I do think that minus 6.5 at minus 115, that's my strongest play on this one.
A lot of numbers thrown around there, John.
Well, yeah, if you can bet 100 and get 255 of theirs, 100 becomes 355. That's good. But if it were more like, say, I don't know, we'll talk about it in other games, but if it were a lot less aggressive, I would be more inclined to take Carolina, because realistically, on any given day, I think these two teams are a coin flip, to be honest with you.
Yeah, both just two very not good teams last year, at least in the regular season. Preseason, of course, all bets are off.
Two very not good
the
teams.
degenerates. So that all right. So we agree here on the Patriots.
Yeah, and then after that, now this one's really interesting. This one's got me. Detroit. Now Detroit is going to play at the New York Giants. In Detroit, they're getting 3.5 points, and you got to pay minus 115, meaning you have to bet 115 to win 100. I think that's in an interesting point spread, but it's also plus 160 for Detroit on the money line. So the bet I like here is actually the Giants on the money line. It's minus 185, meaning, again, you have to bet 185 to win 100. That's very, very conservative. The average bettor, Joe, we'll just say Joe, he's betting 100 for a chance to win 160 on Detroit. And this is the same team that shocked the world last year, almost made it into the Super Bowl. They were dominating the 49ers at halftime. Remember, we had a football pool that you ended up winning. So, don't go selling yourself short as an expert. Guys, just because he's the host, don't let that fool you. Matt knows his stuff. But plus 160 on a team that was basically a drive away from a Super Bowl. That's too big of a price. Minus 185 will scare away a lot of bettors if on the money line for the Giants, and that's why I like it. Again, they know more than we do, and they don't give the shit away. So I'm going more conservative on this one, only in the terms of taking the team to win outright. I don't trust 3.5 points. I absolutely hate taking the home team to cover a spread when it's 3.5 points. That's called the hook, because they hooked you. They might win the game, but with losing, if they win by field goal, they don't cover. I don't trust it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what
do you think? I mean, you probably got a stronger feeling than me.
So you're gonna explain so many wonderful things and concepts to us in this channel in regards to point spreads. And that's one thing I'm really excited to delve deeper into and learn from you in regards. And I'm just excited to go through games and see the results as they play out, because I know for a fact, I've known John for about a year now, and I've seen it. So he knows his stuff, and over time it will be proven. So I'm looking forward to getting through the first, maybe not necessarily preseason, but once we start getting into the regular season, I think it's going to get really exciting.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, man. And yeah, it is going to be fun. I mean, we're both so passionate about what we do, and and I was just so intrigued by Matt and excited just to get to know him. I met him absolutely not just by chance, but that was a divine meeting, and here we are now. Exactly. But all right, now I'm going to call you out. I want to hear your take because I think that the first game, by the way, the Carolina and the Detroit games, those are the two games that are playing on Thursday.
Yeah.
So now on Friday, you've got the Atlanta at -2.5 at Miami. So I don't know. This one,
So Atlanta, a mediocre team on the road against a pretty good and talented Miami Dolphin football team, is the favorite. Interesting.
right?
So that seems easy. So I'm gonna put all my money on Miami in that, right? What do you think?
What? I mean, okay, and this is exactly why we're here because okay, Joe, everybody watching this, you're all thinking, yeah, I'm taking Miami too. And not only are they +2.5, they're at +2.5, -105. So you're even paying less vig to take Miami because it's normally -110 because Vegas usually bakes in their 10% on the point spread. And so given how the betting ebbs and flows, that number might go up or down one way or the other. And if it moves so much, then they'll change the actual point spread. Usually they'll do that a half point at a time, again, one way or the other. But Miami is +2.5, but +130 on the money line. At 2.5, +130 is a huge number. It's not so big that it's that big a deal. But the reality is, I don't like Miami plus the 2.5. I don't like Miami on the money line +130. I don't like them at home. I don't like them being the better team. I'm all over Atlanta. I mean, they got a brand new quarterback who probably won't even play in Kirk Cousins, but it doesn't matter. The point spread in this to me screams that Joe, there's too many people that are going to be betting on the Miami Dolphins. And so they know more than we do, right? And so I'm going to go with Atlanta. I do not mind laying those 2.5 at all. I mean, win by a field goal, you cover, right? And there may be some people that want to take Miami that just want to not even worry about the money line at +130 because -105 is smart money to take such a good team. And let me tell you something, for all you fantasy nerds out there, and yeah, I'm one of them. You too, right, Matt?
Oh yeah. I
So
mean, okay,
the
let's no,
fantasy nerds out there, we're all taking Miami guys this year. I mean,
Mhm.
they'll roll up on teams like 50-point offensive putouts. So I'll be taking tons of those guys in the draft, but not today, not this week. I just do not like Miami. I'll go with Atlanta. But and that takes to Houston at Pittsburgh. Take it away, Mr. Corbett. Yes, his Matt's last name is Corbett. So yeah, take it away. What do you think? Houston at Pittsburgh. It's a 2.5-point spread. Houston on the road.
Houston is the favorite.
Yes.
Houston favorite on the road. So they're Houston -2.5 in Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh. They got like, I don't know, all these quarterbacks they've been, bringing in. I think somebody's got something to prove, and there's a job to be won there. So I will go Pittsburgh.
That's totally solid. You know what? I can't top that. You're realistically, I would be more inclined to take Houston. They're not even favored by a field goal, so they win by I honestly have no take on this game whatsoever. And that's the thing
When you're
about
staying
me
away from?
is, yeah, I'll stay away from it just because I feel so much stronger about so many other picks that you don't want to muddy the water with your picks. I mean, you don't cast your pearls before swine. You don't just bet for the sake of betting. That's why we trade in fantasy, right? We trade for the sake of trading because it makes it fun. It doesn't cost as much. But we only have so many weekends of football, so you want to bet the ones that are the smartest money. And for me, this is too much of a legitimate coin flip for me to have a say one way or another. I'm not good at coin flips.
Perfect. I love it. What's next?
Uh, Philadelphia also favorite on the road at Baltimore. Philly's only -1, so call it a pick 'em.
Mm-hmm. Pick them. Well, I think you have an opinion on this one, or not really?
I
I remember.
do, but it's kind of sketchy because here's one thing. out of any team in the NFL, the best preseason team in recent history has been the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, they don't care if it's preseason. They have a winning culture, as evidenced by 2 Super Bowl victories in such a short history. I mean, this team used to be the Browns, for crying out loud. But realistically, they're at home and it's a pick 'em. They're actually getting 1 point, as if that could win you anything. I don't see it ending in a tie. But
Like
Baltimore's going to have their time with me. I'm actually waiting for them in week 1 of the regular season, because they're actually going to open up, as you know, Matt, against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City, the current Super Bowl champions. And KC is not even favored by 3 points. So I am all over in Baltimore, because Taylor and all the Swifties and Pfizer Kelsey and all their fans and all the people are going to be mortgaging their trailers in Kansas City to bet their team, and they're all going to just lose it. I just feel it. I mean, that's granted. Do I think that Baltimore's a better team? No. I think that KC, they're the world champions. I'm not going to discount that. I'm not going to, but I just don't like them in week 1, because I know that there's going to be so much money on Kansas City that it doesn't really lend itself to such a loss on Vegas' side, because, that I just don't like the line. And I will be playing that. But right now, I got nothing to say on this game. Again, to me, it's a coin flip. I don't want to put myself out there.
Needless to say, you are on the Baltimore Ravens in week 1 against KC. Going back to preseason, what's the next game that we're talking about here?
The Washington Redskins. Again, you notice a trend here in the first weekend of preseason. You're having all these road teams as favorites, and Washington minus 2.5 at minus 115. So you just to take them to win by a field goal, you still need to pay 115 to win 100. Whereas on the Jets, you're getting 2.5 at minus 105, and the Jets again at plus 130 on the money line. For 2.5, I think that's a high number for a money line. I like Washington minus the 2.5 at minus 115. And you know what? There's also a chance that it ends up less than a field goal. This happens a lot more than you think in the preseason. So I may just take this one minus 150. Take Washington minus 150 to win outright. And that's on the road against the New York Jets, who have a great defense. They've got Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to figure into the game, but
I think he will hand the ball off once or twice in the first series. I'm going to take the Jets based off of Rodgers giving the football off.
You homer.
Yeah, that's totally true. I do live in New York, yes. But there's only one New York team, by the way.
And who would that be? Oh, look at that. He's got the Bills cup. And that's great. So Matt's out there in Buffalo. Big Buffalo fan. Great team. I'm out here in Southern California. I grew up in San Diego as a Chargers fan. But hey, we got SoFi here, and I got a game every week, so chew on that. Speaking of Buffalo, though, I'm going to pin you down on this. Yeah, Chicago Bears, who won the Hall of Fame game last week. I got the dog. Uh-oh. Does that mean you're going to take the dog? It's such as First, can you please introduce the star of the show?
That's this one right here. This is Coco.
Everybody say hi to Coco. Coco, you're beautiful. So, but who do you like? Your team is at home, and you're getting 1.5, but it's also minus 120. So Buffalo is plus 1.5, but minus 120. So there's money going on Buffalo, I would imagine. That's how it would seem. But who do you like on this? Chicago, Buffalo?
The rumblings here is that, the Caleb Williams, coming to town. The preseason tickets were a little bit more expensive than usual for this game because everyone was excited to see the first glimpse of Caleb Williams. I don't care about that. I have tickets. I'm not sure if I'm going, okay? But I do like Buffalo. I think Buffalo in the preseason has been good under McDermott. So I would go with the Bills here, especially since
Okay.
they're point.
Fantastic. And coming off the heels of the much more publicized and the only game going, it had a big handle. Chicago, took care of business against Houston Texans, and so yeah, that might be reason to think that maybe Chicago is a little more of a darling. Bottom line is, I don't have a say, but minus 120 on Buffalo. If Vegas is able to attract an equal amount of action on either side, then I would be more inclined to say Chicago minus 1.5, only because it's easier for Vegas to pay out minus actually a pick 'em. It's minus Chicago minus 1.5 even. So all 10% of that Vegas VIG is actually being cooked into Buffalo's price. So Buffalo, you have to pay 120 to win 100 on the spread. And so if I had to say one way or another, I would definitely go with Chicago minus the 1.5 on the line.
Plus, Vegas knows more than us, so
we're a couple of idiots, dude. I mean, it's. I'll be happy if we can get half the people to sit through this whole thing. Granted, there's some good information on here, but realistically, yeah, we're
preseason
they
ball.
own us.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What about Green? Actually, no, the Raiders at Minnesota. I'm curious to know your input first on this, because mine might seem a little bit off the rocker. The Raiders are at Minnesota.
Are they still in Oakland or?
No, Vegas, baby.
So Vegas, they're Vegas Raiders. All right.
Sorry.
So no, I'm sorry. So Vegas Raiders at Minnesota, right?
They're laying 4 points at Minnesota in a preseason game. On the money line, the Raiders are minus 195. To me, that's insane.
Seems like a lot, right? For 4 points, what's a more common for 4 points? What's a more accurate?
Well, actually, I mean, it can go up to minus 200 and still. Usually, the higher you're paying for the money line with a lower spread, the more. If the spread's lower with a high, money line price or a bad money line price, that would lend itself more into not laying the points, in my opinion, and what I've kind of, learned in terms of history. The numbers kind of support that. Minnesota's at home. They got Aaron Jones. They got a new running back.
Ooh.
We might see him. I don't know.
How come all these players
at home
the same
+4? But get this, plus 165 on the money line. If you're in Vegas, and let me just paint a scenario for you. If you're in Vegas, whether you're a Minnesota fan or not, say you're just a fantasy nerd like us, right? Mm-hmm. And you see Minnesota at home plus 165 against the Vegas Raiders. Would you be inclined to take that money line bet? I mean, for a chance to turn 10 into 26.50, would you do that?
Tempting, especially when you know what's going to happen.
I think Joe would too. And so for that reason, I like the Raiders -4. I like the Raiders on the money line, but I would just take the Raiders -4 and be happy with it.
Okay, I like it. Interesting.
Yeah.
I would probably take the Vikings.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What we don't agree on too much today.
That's good. It's preseason.
Well, yeah, most people are going to say, well, John's an idiot, dude. Now I can see why Matt's the host.
I doubt that.
All right. Well, what about the Packers? Since we were just talking about Aaron Jones, the former Packer, mm-hmm. You talk about a team that's totally awesome. I mean, they just inked their quarterback Love to a $50 million a year contract. Are they insane?
Too much money, right? I mean, it's to the point where I get it. There's 32 jobs of a starting quarterback in the world, right? The NFL. But every year, when a contract comes up, they're the highest paid quarterback, and they're like the 15th to 18th best quarterback in the NFL, but they're getting $400 million. It's insane to me. But good for Jordan Love, for him.
He must be a good-looking guy, is he?
I haven't seen him in person, but I had seen his Instagram.
Oh, really? So you're
No, I
stalking
haven't.
him on
I've
Instagram?
never been on his Instagram. He probably does, but
Yeah, that was kind of a pointed
but I
question.
am
Go
actually
ahead.
I am a Packers fan actually, John. It was my second favorite team growing up. I love Brett Favre. Um, I love Robert Brooks, Antonio Freeman. Those were the good old days. So cool.
Yeah, and you know what I really like most about the Packers is the fact that it's owned by the city. It's
Yeah,
like,
very cool.
I love what the Packers do, and on my bucket list officially is a
Lambo.
tailgate at Lambeau, and
Oh yeah.
so that's something. Anybody out there, if you
I
want to
want his
underwrite
front
the
yard.
cost of sending the two of us to a tailgate at Lambeau, join up with us there. We'll do a live shoot from there. It would be so much
That would
fun.
be
I
sweet. I would be down for that. It's funny. I had a client maybe 2 weeks ago that his whole basement is dedicated to the Packers, and he's one of the shareholders. He's got the thing framed and everything. It's really cool. But he was excited.
Nuts.
We talked about Jordan Love's contract a little bit, and he was like, like bring back Netscape.
Hey, do you recall what the wait list for season tickets is for that team?
I have no idea. It's probably 20, 30 years, right?
It's insane. I mean, you could live an entire life and die waiting to go and season tickets for
Right?
them. It
Yeah.
ain't like that if you're a Charger fan.
We need the people. Well, yeah, that's funny because it used to be the Bills. I mean, their games were always pretty much sold out, but even now there's a wait list, and now it's a couple years out, and they're building the new stadium and everything, and they've just come out with the PSL, the personal seat license, and people are freaking out in Buffalo. I mean, people that have club seats, the PSL is like $50,000, the one-time fee, and
Good grief.
so, I mean, mine, I've had season tickets on and off over the years, and this is like my fourth year now having them, but I haven't been able to move up into like the place I want to sit because Josh Allen's been here and the team's been good, so it's really interesting. So, I mean, there's a big divide in the community as far as hey, this is our team, we're blue collar, but we can't afford to go to these games anymore. So it's
Well, I got to admit, yeah, at risk of losing my man card, you look like a sexier version of Josh Allen. Plus, you don't look all cracked out like he does when he's asked why he choked it away another game.
It throws 3 picks. Well, thank you. I appreciate
So,
that.
but anyway, Packers are getting 3 at plus 105. They want you to take the Packers. It's at Cleveland.
Mhm.
Cleveland Browns -3, and you got to pay minus 125 for -3. Here's something, though. Think about this. Okay, -3 is less than -3.5. But either way, if you don't win by 4 or more, you don't cover. So Cleveland has to win by 4, and you got to pay 125 to win 100 on the spread, or minus 185 on the money line. The Packers are plus 160 on the money line. You can have your Packers. I will take Cleveland. I'll take them anyway. I can bet them. Obviously, a little more money to win a little more on the money line than on the spread, because I don't like laying a lot of vig to take points, because usually to me that's indicative of a lot of action on any one bet. And so when there's a lot of action on the point spread, and I like that team, I'm more inclined to just take the money line, play it conservatively, because it tends to be free money at that point.
Mhm. Interesting. Okay, I like that.
Food for thought. And if you're watching at home, that makes 3 of you. And not only that, but you can pause that, play it back, because it's really important to us that you grasp these concepts, because they'll make you money over time. And even if it doesn't make you money by making the bet, it can save you money. My brother Scott, he always says, sometimes it's not the bets you make, it's the bets you don't make that make a difference. So I'll send a shout out to Scott. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. And so now here's another one. So KC, they're on the road at Jacksonville. KC +1, Jackson. So it's basically a pick 'em. I have nothing to say about this game. What about you?
Andy Reid, baby, in the preseason. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's a pick 'em.
Yeah. Okay. Well, since
I
we
don't
don't
know.
care about it, give me something fresh on Taylor Swift, and not just because that was my fantasy football name. I had a backfield of Jonathan Taylor and Swift
That's
last
great.
year, and then I realized how lame my backfield was. I changed the team name and I dropped both of those idiots. But anything good for us on Taylor Swift? Come
I didn't
on, you
have
know what's
much.
going
I
on.
mean, she called me once or twice, but I didn't answer. Didn't pick up. But she's got a couple of really good songs that have come out recently that are they're in my playlist. Okay, but yeah, KC. I would probably go KC though on the road. Even I don't know. I think just the depth in the coaching and the system, whatever. But
And you can't blame that. I can't begrudge anyone wanting to take KC in a pick 'em. I mean, in fact, this is really kind of how the line has been the last two Super Bowls. Neither of them were really even more than a field goal, yet they won both of them, late in the game, coming from behind. That's great. But I got to say one thing about Taylor Swift. You may be a big fan, but it, you know what? Is it me or is she trying now to copy Billie Eilish? Now she's trying
oh,
to sound like all depressed and
oh, she's
oh,
bad
I
now.
want to kill her.
Together, we should be together. Have you heard that one? It's Billie Eilish.
What's that other song that she did? Colors my boyfriend. Okay, that's wrong. I shouldn't go there. But uh, I don't know the lyrics. But anyway, enough about that. Tampa Bay. This is an important one. Well, before Tampa Bay, San Francisco,
Oh,
Super Bowl
this is
almost
crazy.
champions. In fact, twice in the last 5 years they've played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Both times had leads in the fourth quarter and them away.
Yeah.
Well, but be
So
that as it may, they were in the Super Bowl. They almost won it. And now they're on the road at Tennessee. They're 4.5 point underdogs. Get this, plus 185 on the money line. If you bet $100 on San Francisco, they should beat Tennessee. They suck, right?
you would
If you
think.
bet 100 on San Francisco on the money line and they win, which logic would say they would, you would turn that into $285. They they don't give it away, do they?
Well, this one is like an eye, jerker, right? I mean,
Right?
is Colin Kaepernick starting for San Fran or?
Probably. I mean, if they're getting points, maybe they did bring Cap back. I think it would actually be great for the game. No matter where you stand on, taking a knee or whatever. Bottom line is, hey, can't we all agree that we can't begrudge anyone of their own form of peaceful protest, and let's just leave it at that. Jumping off that political soapbox, Tennessee -4.5. That's a lot of points against San Francisco, a game nobody cares about, notwithstanding. But Tennessee -225. Who in their right frigging mind would lay $225 for a chance to win 100 on Tennessee against Frisco? Answer me that, Matt.
Nobody.
Okay, then I will.
There you go. All right, so that's interesting. That's
Tampa Bay at Cincinnati. Tampa Bay +4.5, plus 180 on the money line. Cincinnati -4.5, -220. Hey, to me that's a correct line. I don't see a problem with it. Only because it's 4.5 at home. They have to win by 5. I wouldn't lay 220 on something that is closer to a pick 'em, but I do think Cincy's a better team. If they have to win by 5 in the first week of preseason, we don't even know if Burrow's going to play. I doubt Jamar is going to be playing. But you know what? Sounds like they could win by a touchdown to me. Why not? Let's go with Cincinnati -4.5.
yeah, because Brady's out, so Brady's not playing.
Brady's out. You know what? You're right. I actually knew that.
You did. Oh yeah.
Boy,
Oh,
talk about someone that will never get respect in the NFL. I mean, how many rings is Baker Mayfield, even though he won't win one, how many is he going to have to win before he gets respect? 0.
right.
We need players like that, right?
It's awesome.
So, all right.
Bring back Johnny.
I need to hear your take on the next one. I want to hear what you
All right.
think because I honestly I don't know what to think. Seattle minus a point and a half, but at minus 115, so you got to pay a little extra vig to take Seattle to win by 2, basically, to win against the spread against the Chargers at SoFi. My Chargers. Chargers plus 1.5, plus 110 on the money line.
You said something to me that stuck with me that the Chargers used to be close to Vegas. Now are they closer now or further away? Either way, it doesn't matter. They're close to Vegas. They take their team. This Seattle pick, I think we gotta go Seattle here.
And you know what? You're probably right. I mean, I would go with the Chargers anyway. I mean, I'm going to wait until week 1. Let me just say this. On week 1 of the regular season, I will be all over the Chargers because Harbaugh is their coach. And when you have such a high profile player, I mean, this is a guy that lost against his brother in a Super Bowl, when he was coaching Frisco. But yeah, bottom line is I lose too much money betting the Chargers. I really do. The only time I want to bet them is when they're playing outside of their conference and on the road. That seems to be the only time that I have the guts to take them where it actually makes me money. I've actually lost money in my career taking the Chargers at home. The worst of which is when they were 5.5-point favorites against the New England Patriots when they were 14-2 under Shoddy. And we were up by 17-3 in the second quarter. I'm like, oh no, we're going to lose. And that was when, we threw on, let's see, fourth down, Brady had, and he threw a pick. I believe it was Marlon McRae. Again, I'd have to ask my brother Scott. But he starts running the ball back instead of taking, a knee and basic or falling down and letting us win with the clock. He tries to run it, fumbles the ball, and of course Brady goes in, throws a touchdown pass. They win the game. We get our hearts broken, and he goes on to win another Super Bowl. So the Chargers at home, they're just poison to me. I will like them a few times this year. This is your advance warning. It's probably me betting my heart, but at the same time, I just like them because my heart never loses or never wins against my heart. My heart knows that, I don't know. I just can't win. I can't even say that right. I can't even explain it. I'm so beside myself still with that team. That's why I invented the term free agent fan about over a decade ago. I pick the team. I like to win it all in any sport, and that's the team I ride with. But now that we actually have a legitimate head coach, I'm back. And I'm telling you right now, on this channel, the Chargers bandwagon starts right here. I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl, but they're going to make a long run and people are going to take notice. They are not a weak team. They just had a weak coach that nobody could rally around. And now we've got the NC2A champion, Jim Harbaugh, leading our team. Y'all better take notice. In fact, we picked up a couple of running backs from his brother's team. Yeah. Yeah, so our backfield.
All right. Well, we got cut off by the free Zoom, and thank God it ended John's Charger rant.
Sorry, everyone.
No, that being said, if we had a Patreon, I would ask John to make a Charger rant video that would last as long as Charger fans need, which could be a while. But that being said, let's just get through this vid, and don't forget to like and subscribe and help us grow our channel because we want to bring you great information and help you save money and not make the poor picks and make the best picks you can make and ultimately be successful with sports betting. And like I said, that's what we're here for. So that being said, New Orleans taking on the Cardinals in Zona. New Orleans is a +1. So it's basically a pickup at that point. What do you think, John?
I guess we'll just cut to the nuts and bolts as a reward for the people that have hung along this far. I mean, if we're too long for a Zoom meeting, then good grief. Think about the ADHD crowd that, we appeal to with sports betting, Shit.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, everybody. Mea culpa, mea culpa. New Orleans at Arizona. How's this for you? It's a coin flip for me. I mean, 1 point, two teams that nobody cares about. Flip a coin.
You got a coin on you?
No, I'm broke.
Yeah, right. I only got
What about
20.
you? Do you got to say on this one way or another? Although I will say this, I would be inclined to think Arizona only because look how long they've been dealing with injuries with their quarterback. The lollipop guild guy, that we call them little people, I guess. I don't want to offend anyone, but he can't even see over his line. He needs all the reps he can get. Having said that, I don't even know if he's going to be playing their quarterback. So again, it's a coin flip to me.
I mean, I think this is his season or bust. I mean, if he's not successful this season, I think it's over for Kyler and Zona.
Except for his bank account.
That's good to go for a while as long as he doesn't make financial mistakes.
Speaking of steaks, at his size, he can't eat that many, so
Oh!
he could probably make that account last pretty long. Yeah. So, what about Denver at Indy?
Denver, Indy.
This one's kind of interesting. Denver again on the road, but a favorite. Only 1.5 points, but they're minus 125 on the money line. Indy plus 1.5 at home, plus 105. It's a coin flip. We were talking about this earlier. You actually had a take that I really kind of took note of, and he literally took note of, wrote it down. What's so special about Denver? What's your take on them?
Well, Denver is a football team that literally they don't know who's starting quarterback right now. I think they might. Maybe there's some insider information coming out of Colorado, but right now I think that maybe they're the favorite on the road because they have multiple quarterbacks that are going to be in the game, trying to prove something, trying to earn that starting position. So that's kind of where I'm at with Denver, especially because it's the preseason. Who knows who's going to be playing, on the zone of defense, or excuse me, the Colt defense. But yeah, I think that's an interesting thing when you have guys that need to prove themselves in the preseason. You never know what you're going to get. You're going to get probably one quarterback that throws for 30 or 60 yards. And you're going to get one quarterback that throws for 100 something, I think. And at what point does he play? And does that guy? I don't know. Maybe they find their guy, maybe they don't. But I think that's what they're searching for in the preseason with the Denver Broncos.
Wow, that's a great point. People, you need to take some serious note there because on the flip side of the coin, when I'm looking at Matt's take here, now look, there's a competition going on in Denver. I didn't even think about that, and so you're going to get 4 quarters of quarterbacks trying to become the man, whereas in Indianapolis they had their last year or whenever it was rookie Richardson come in, set the world afire, and then get crippled. And so they're not going to let him play, I don't think, too much. Now that you mentioned that, yeah, maybe Denver does look like they're, a good pick there. Good catch.
That is interesting. Yeah, it's good. It's an interesting line. And we
Now,
actually
there's only one more game, though.
last game, yes, and we actually talked about this one as well briefly, but Dallas -4. SoFi, right? LA Rams, your neck of the woods.
So Dallas, road team, and they're a good team, at least until December, right? Or until January. But so the spring, they should be extra good, or the summer, they should be extra good if they, basically become turn into a pumpkin for the playoffs. Dallas -4. And you got to pay -120 for that -4. So in other words, Dallas has to win by 5, and you got to pay 12 for every $10 you win. And get this, an astounding -220 on the money line. You have to pay 22 to win 10 for them to win outright against the Rams. And this is a Rams team that's really got everyone healthy. Cooper Kupp is back. He's looking good. He's been training all offseason long, mano a mano with Puka Nacua, the coolest name in the league. I love me some Puka, and I love some Cooper Kupp. Fill up my cup with the Puka Nacua. I mean, good grief. That just sounds like it'd be an awesome drink. But the Rams at home, +4, even. You don't even have to pay any vig to get those 4 points. Yeah, I could just kind of smell a bad bet on the Rams, despite being at home. They're +180 on the money line. Your casual Joe in Vegas, oh my gosh, they're all over the Rams on the money line. And whatever the total is, the over-under, they'll probably parlay it with that because their receiving game and Matt Stafford and even their Tutu and their other guys, their other receivers, they got a Higbee. He's a good tight end. Again, I don't know who's playing of these guys, but the Joe Better doesn't really take that into account. They see +180, the Rams at home, and that's where the money's going to go. I see money going on +180. I see money going at +4. I don't see too many people wanting to lay -220 to take a preseason version of Dallas on the road. What do you think?
Well, like you said, it's 12 to win 10. It's 220 to win 100. It's 2,200 to win 1,000, right? I don't know.
You know, man.
You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean, I would be one of those sucker guys, I think, in this case, because I would probably be like, well, let me grab the Rams. But like you said, something special, cooking here. But I think the main thing is it's all about thinking about what team does Vegas want you to take. What do the lines want you to take, right, John? So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's
You're wrong.
Am I?
Oh wait, I'm sorry. You didn't say. I'm sorry. Please continue.
Well, what team does Vegas want you to take? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like,
They know more than we do, don't they? I mean, and isn't that really just kind of the theme of our first video together? I mean, they don't give it away, and there's just going to be too many people. I mean, even if you just got $10 and a 6-pack of beer, call it entertainment. And you know who calls it entertainment? The people that are used to losing. So they can kind of justify losing a bet by the fact that maybe it wasn't too much. I made my 6-pack last for 3 hours, and it was a whole lot better than anything else on TV, right?
Sounds awful. What a bad night.
Excellent. So hey, everyone, that's it. That's going to run down week 1 of the preseason for us, and I couldn't be more thrilled to have you with us. We appreciate you checking us out. Apologize for the long-windedness. I'll work on that myself. I am sure I'm going to get beat up by it. Hopefully we can. And Matt, make sure you turn off the comments. I don't think I want to hear that. I don't need it.
They'd be ugly.
Anyway, we do appreciate you watching, and click subscribe, share this, like this, do all that stuff. And even if you don't like it, I mean, a lot of people aren't, but those of you who don't, we still care about you, and we want you to come back.
We want you to make money.
That's what it's all about. That's why we're here. Actually, we want you to make money, but also equally as important, we don't want anyone taking your money. We don't want you knowing what's better and paying the price for it, because people who watch this channel over time are going to be the ones who like sports betting, and we just want to be a bullet in your holster, so to speak. So I'm John. I appreciate you coming.
John Patterson here with Matthew R. Corbett. This is Sports Forensics and Picks. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Good night.
Ciao.